Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Swatantra Forum's TV program. About Swatantra Foundation, Swatantra was established by a group of like-minded people in 2011 initially as an informal organization and then subsequently as a Swatantra Foundation as a trust, with the objective to create awareness on issues of national and international importance. During the course of time, we have started a web magazine and web TV to set narrative and to create a platform for informed discussions. I am Muthuraman, one of the trustees of Swatantra Foundation. So the topic for discussion today is political and economic impact of COVID-19, the hot topic for the day. And over the next 30 minutes or so, we will discuss the political and economic impact of COVID-19, both on the regional and national scene. I have with me two eminent speakers to participate in this session, Mr. Rajagopalan and Mr. Srikanth. Mr. Rajagopalan is a senior journalist based in Delhi with 44 years of experience in political reporting. He is a holder of long and distinguished journalist category pass for Parliament of India, a rare decoration provided to journalists who have reported Parliament for many years. He is also a well-known face in the TV news channels on various political debates. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you.
The other panelist I have is Mr. G. Srikanth. Mr. Srikanth is a chartered accountant in practice for nearly 30 years and is a senior partner of GSV Associates, Chartered Accountants Chennai. He is also a qualified cost accountant. He practices in the field of direct and indirect taxation, audit and corporate advisory services. He is also a renowned speaker and has participated in several discussions and debates in various platforms. Welcome, Mr. Srikanth, to the session.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we will straight away jump into the topic for the day, political and economic impact of COVID-19. Mr. Rajagopalan, why don't you share your initial thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, COVID is a very worst pandemic ever seen in either one's life. But at the same time, the China which has generated this, as per Mr. Donald Trump, who has been saying, US president, who has been spearheading a campaign against China. But the Chinese aggression through this type of biological warfare, I have a feeling the narrative of the corona, how Indian government, how Indian political system, and how the economic and financial plus whatever that, during the debate we will discuss many aspects, were handled by Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. Muthuraman, I have some personal anecdotes which I would like to share with Swatantra TV, and happy to them because I am privy to certain internal developments within the Prime Minister's office and also the government of India, how they handled it, corona, politics, as well as the economic side of both. It's both sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Corona. Let me start with financial things first, because most of our listeners, viewers, are all interested in the economic package of the aftermath of corona.
Yes.
Mr. Narendra Modi, having been told by the world leaders that corona is fast jumping, that type of tsunami is coming into the system world over, so he prepared a roadmap. Corona is a pandemic which created an awareness all over the world, the biological war system of things. As Mr. Donald Trump, the US president, has coined, it is a China's creation. Corona is a China's creation against the world, the community. But when it was waging a war on India, when it was approaching India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had sort of understood what the damage would be and how he has to control it. And having been, closely associated with the policymakers and also the inside details of how PMO handled it, how personally Prime Minister handled it,
okay,
I would like to happily share with some of them with the Swatantra TV viewers.
Please, sir.
Number one, Mr. Narendra Modi having been Chief Minister of Gujarat for more than 2 decades, got an experience. He handled the worst Bhuj disaster,
Earthquake. Yeah.
earthquake disaster. From that, he had an experience of handling a pandemic type of thing. Though it's the first time he's handling. Similarly, what he handled the Bhuj. What Prime Minister himself told me during one of my personal meetings with him, which I would like to share with your viewers, that, he's interested in handling that type of, crisis. He's a man of crisis. For example, this corona, when it affected India, first he locked down. 3 days, 4 days, Janata curfew, like that. He had an immense connectivity with the public because of his Man Ki Baat radio programs and Twitter, social media, one-to-one contact with the public. So what Prime Minister appealed, the Indians, 130 crore people, Indians, accepted his suggestion to lock down. Then, even now we are under great lockdown, some partially, some, like that.
Yes.
In these 3 months, the much experience is 2 policy matters I would like to say, where Mr. Srikanth can further elaborate on economic issues of my political reading. That is, Mr. Narendra Modi gave Atmanirbhar Bharat, the package for MSME sector, for the banking sector, for the financial sector. All these things are one side. How he got into that? He had Muthuraman 45 to 50 meetings with the secretaries to Government of India.
Okay.
So he evolved the policy. That is why Nirmala Sitharaman, Finance Minister, held a 5 days press conference on each subject.
Yeah.
MSME, how this migrants issue. These are all certain economic issues pushed on him, compelled Mr. Narendra Modi to take quick decisions. This is one part.
Yeah.
Now, during our debate, I will elaborate. Now, I come to the political aspects. He held 5 chief ministers' conference,
Yes.
1 opposition party meetings, and created an Indian opinion how corona to be handled.
Yeah.
Then he got vaccine prepared. In the sense, he activized this Indian Council of Medical Research. He gave enthusiasm. He gave them funds to energize them to create a sort of antidote for corona. That is from the health point of view. Second thing, Mr. Narendra Modi, corona and Narendra Modi, if you wrote a big thesis, PhD, if you did a research, first thing comes to my mind is Arogya Setu.
Yeah.
The application which Mr. Narendra Modi introduced. So these 2, Arogya Setu and Atmanirbhar Bharat, these are all 2 important things. When he was handling this, the political crisis came up thanks to the left and Congress, the invalid Congress and invalid decimated CPM type of communism. They created a furor about migrants. All over India, they created Hindi mein kahavat hai, chavi de diya, chavi. That means a key was given to them. All the migrants have started to go to various parts of India, especially Bihar, Patna, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan. These are all certain. So coming to the political issue now, when the crisis was looming large, our inefficient and ill-minded, negative-minded opposition leader like Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi created an atmosphere against Narendra Modi. So these 3-4 problems, Mr. Narendra Modi step by step handled it. And thanks to his, interactions with eminent persons, in between Muthuraman, you would have known, he called the industrialists through virtual meetings. He met Narayan Murthy, he met even TVS Venu Srinivasan, Gopal Srinivasan from Tamil Nadu, and he had interacted with India Cements N. Srinivasan. So these are all certain economic type of handling the situation. He discussed with various, industrial faces, Mukesh Ambani, and Adani. Those are all certain names which I would, you know it very well. It all appeared in Economic Times and Business Standard, Business Line newspapers. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all the steps which Narendra Modi approached. And in between, he had a problem. He wanted to arrest the, the community chain of the coronavirus affected. He stopped the airports, metro stations, railway stations, locked them, complete lockdown. A successful story of Mr. Narendra Modi. He handled corona with a great aplomb on economic front, on health issues, on political issues, and now
Sir,
he has to come out of this. Meanwhile, this China has come. So these are all certain points. Now I hand over to you and to Srikanth. Let us get educated on that. I will intervene in between.
Sure. Mrs. Srikanth, you can share your initial thoughts on the political and economic impact of COVID, and then I can direct specific questions to both of you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Muthuraman, and let me thank Swatantra for giving me this opportunity to share my views on. I would rather confine myself more on the economic impact rather than the political impact, because Mr. Rajagopalan has covered that part of it fairly well. So as far as the economic impact is concerned, I think India is no exception. This pandemic has affected the economics of various economies of various countries, and quite severely, that too. And it has affected a range of things, from your outputs to job creation to supply chain and whatnot, socioeconomic and various other aspects, movement of labor, movement of capital. Everything has been affected by this pandemic. And to the credit of our government, I think I don't think we will have a leader better than Mr. Narendra Modi to have guided us through this particular course. But be that as it may, the economic problem is quite very severe, and the government has to take a lot of innovative steps to handle these economic issues. For example, for a country that is struggling to maintain its fiscal deficit, which is nothing but your total borrowings for the particular year.
Yeah.
Now, for budget 2021, the finance minister has estimated that the total borrowings will be in the region of 8 lakh crores. Now, surely because of the drop in the tax revenues and the non-tax revenues, because we had estimated around 20 lakh crores of total revenues for 2021, and definitely because of the lockdown and all that, the last quarter of, starting from the last quarter of 1920 right up to date, I don't think any company has seen any major progress in terms of activity. Therefore, nearly half the year of 2021 is already lost. So it is improbable that the 20 lakh of revenue will actually translate. Last year we had a 15 lakh, revised estimate for 1920 was 15 lakh crores. I will be surprised if we can make even that 15 lakh crores during 2021. It might be even lower than that, because already half a year is lost without much of tax revenue. All this means that your fiscal deficit, which was put at around 3.5% of the GDP in the budget, is going to go up substantially. In absolute numbers, from 8 lakh crores, it could even, I won't surprise if there is a 50% increase in the fiscal deficit. Okay. And
so
the position...
More like 5.5%.
May not be that much. In absolute terms, I would think that it might go up to about 12 lakh crores. But it all depends on how much of fiscal policy measures the government is going to take even further, because they've already announced a fiscal stimulus for about, I won't say it's a fiscal stimulus, it's a relief package for 20 lakh crores, out of which the fiscal portion is about 50% of that, about 10-12 crores, lakh crores only. If there is going to be a further increase in the outgo and all that, your fiscal deficit going to come under severe strain.
That's right.
So that is one thing that the government has to take note of, and obviously this cannot be, you cannot tide over this by taxing more, because already there's nothing to tax. So it will result in increased borrowings, and that will mean that the interest burden for the future is going to go up, and that's going to be a permanent phenomenon, and we all have to reckon with this. So COVID has an effect not only for the current year, but also for the years to come, and which the government has to reckon and take remedial measures. the situation as far as the Tamil Nadu budget is concerned is no different. In fact, the Tamil Nadu government for 2021 has projected a revenue of 2.25 lakh crores. And, if you look at the SGST part, the state GST part, and also the state share of the IGST for the first 4 months and even going forward, I don't think we will be able to reach anywhere near this target of 2.25 lakh crores. Out of 2.25 lakh crores, the tax revenue alone is in the region of 1.9 lakh crores. I think it is going to be a difficult time for the state government also, and therefore the borrowings, which was pegged at around 75,000 crores for 2021, will also shoot up. So all this will see that the interest burden on the state as well as on the country is going to go on a spiral.
That's right.
This is as far as the fiscal situation is concerned. If you look at banking sector, the financial sector, the Reserve Bank has recently come out with a statement saying that in March 20, the NPA, the gross NPAs were in the region of around 8.2%, and it is likely to go up even to 12% by March 2021. So that is a 50% jump in the NPAs. Already the country is under real severe pressure because of non-performing assets, the banking sector particularly, and the risk-taking appetite is virtually not there in the banking sector. So with a 50% increase in the NPA, it's going to be difficult times, and the government has to think out of the box to take the country out of this mess. I'm sure it cannot happen in a short time. It's going to be a long drawn-out affair. It should have a policy to take us back to normalcy, maybe over the next 2 years or so. But till then, it's going to be tough time. And unemployment is a natural corollary of all this. Today, we don't really have proper data on unemployment. The government gives you data, and the opposition, the rest of the intellectuals say that the data is not right or whatever, but the unemployment really is a problem, and COVID has accentuated it. Even pre-pandemic, the unemployment levels were fairly high, and the pandemic has also caused a disturbance, and it has put the unemployment problem as a major issue. Of course, the government has come out with various measures. It has come out with fiscal measures. It has come out with monetary policy measures. It has come out with regulatory issues and all that. And I think it's about as good a package as you can get in any other country. There is always a complaint that more money should have been put into the pockets of the people, just like US is doing, just like Australia is doing, just like New Zealand is doing, and all that.
Yeah.
But I think this wait and watch approach of Narendra Modi's government to make some structural changes and then see how it goes and then put money into the pockets of people, I think it is a well thought out strategy. And they also say, the critics also say that this 20 lakh crore package, which is supposed to constitute 10% of GDP, hardly amounts to 1.5% of GDP, because most of them are stimulus through the banking sector by infusing liquidity, by reducing the rates and all that. But the same can be said even of the stimulus packages of various other countries. For example, in US, they say that the stimulus package is around 13% of GDP. But if you look at news reports and columns written by various journalists, you find that it works out only to 6.7% of GDP. So you can't expect governments of various countries to place such a large sum of money directly into the pockets of various people. It doesn't work, and it is not also advisable. So what I feel is whatever has been done so far is good, but still more remains to be done. And if time permitting, I will come back to say what the government needs to do further.
Sure.
Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that excellent summary. Mr. Rajagopal, I have a few questions specifically to you, and then we can take your direct opinions as well. See, if you contrast, say, US with India, the rating of Trump has been slumping week after week, and doesn't, as in the sense, the forecast for the November election in US doesn't forebode well for Trump. Sir, can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
In contrast, as in just last week, Narendra Modi's approval rating was like 77%, and it is increasing, and people are showing reasonable confidence that he is handling the crisis so far reasonably okay. So the dire predictions of 400 million people getting affected and millions dying, etc., have not gone true. And the general perception is that, as in the health aspect of it at least, has been handled reasonably well. Like Mr. Srikanth said, the economic aspect it's handled so far okay, but still more to be done to alleviate people's miseries. So how do you reconcile between this public opinion on Trump versus public opinion on Modi?
My understanding, Muthuraman, Narendra Modi's public impression does not have a negativity because he interacts with the people and he interacts with the common voters, giving them the the reasons for his projections, whatever you can say. Narendra Modi has a connect with national, international leaders. He understands. Not only that, he understands the public mindset psychology. Whatever Srikanth said, they're all economic issues. I agree with him. And one aspect that Mr. Narendra Modi effectively handled the corona spread. We did not have some 10 lakh deaths. He controlled it. I think these are all, I don't want to repeat the same thing. But the Reserve Bank and the other Reserve Bank aspect plus MSME sector, these are all where Mr. Narendra Modi invested. And I would like to know from Srikanth, the 21-22 budget and subsequent budgets, will it culminate in a major problem for Mr. Narendra Modi to achieve that 5 trillion economy in 2024? But the main worrying aspect politically, what I would see the next 2 years, having 6-7 general elections in Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, how it is going to fan out, how the economy of those states will also impact the center's economy, whether the GST collections, whether the tax collections will be because of many the holidays given by the Reserve Bank, plus some important decisions like EMI being postponed till September, October. I have a feeling that it may be extended to 3 more months. So these are all certain negative points for the economy from the political point of view. But in nutshell, to complete my argument, Mr. Muthuraman, I can tell you, I have seen administration in close quarters of the so-called economist Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and also Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Mr. Narasimha Rao, plus Vishwanath Pratap Singh, Rajiv Gandhi. These are all certain, from 6-7 prime ministers. I had a close interactions, and having seen that, the people of India have a trust in Narendra Modi. I am giving a political statement. You can connect it with the economic aspects.
Sure.
Mr. Narendra Modi, the people's trust is there still. You said just now 77. Delhi mein aakar ke dekhiye. You come to Delhi and see the feelings of North Indians. They're all enamored of Mr. Narendra Modi's handling, like Yogi Adityanath, like Shivraj Singh Chauhan, like, even Uddhav Thackeray handled it very well. These are all political issues. At the same time, Mr. Narendra Modi, you must have a trust. As the Indian banking system, Muthuraman, as well as Srikanth will agree with me, Indian banking system, thanks to all the governments, I don't integrate the Congress or BJP or UVP. Indian people have a trust in Indian banking system. Similarly, Indian people have a trust in Mr. Narendra Modi's financial things handling. And otherwise, Mr. Narendra Modi would not have gone in for 20 lakh crores, Atmanirbhar Bharat type of thing, make in India. The one which he has announced it, don't depend on China. Indirectly, he said that. So therefore, these have Acha Muthuraman, I ask you one simple question. He banned 59 applications of China.
That's
Can
right.
you believe in Bangalore itself, there are young minds of Bangaloreans, especially the IT, information technology sector, have developed 200, 300 applications overnight. The masks, which were new to India, 10 lakhs were, manufactured in 2-3 days. Then by Kadi Udyog Bhavan. So it's also an achievements of
Yes,
Indian side.
yes, sir,
We
definitely.
must
Yes.
hail them, and we must hail Mr. Narendra Modi. There are some negative points, I do agree. But the opposition is overdoing it, exaggerating it. Seeing that from New Delhi, Muthuraman, I can tell you the overall impression on Narendra Modi, economic-wise, health-wise, foreign relations. At the same time, he had a meeting, virtual meeting with Australia, Quad, and whatnot. This, NAM, Group G20. He had interacted with lots of political leaders, except Narendra Modi. No other prime minister would have handled the situation with great sincerity and aplomb, because Mr. Narendra Modi does not have a personal foundations or trust to get money from others. He does not have a family or son-in-law or son or daughter-in-law. So these are all some plus points for Indians. If Rajaji would have been alive, Rajagopalachari, because I had in young days, my father was much closer to him. He was associate editor of Swarajya. If Rajaji were alive today, he would have written in his Thursday column in Swarajya, Dear Reader column, appreciating Mr. Narendra Modi's handling of the situation, including Mr. Narendra Modi had copied some of the society politics, as our mentor, Mr. Ram, who has been, spearheading this Rajaji forum. He would have been, Mr. Rajagopalachari would have been much more happier person today, because Narendra Modi implemented many of Swatantra policies and programs. Therefore, in my concluding remark, I say COVID and Corona, whatever that, Chinese aggression, Mr. Narendra Modi had completely demolished the theory that he is for one. At the same time, he politically handled it. In first 3 months of his tenure, Muthuraman, having been elected in 2019, he got 3 important bills passed in Parliament. The bankruptcy code, Indian bankruptcy code, which Srikanth may agree, plus demonetization, that is helping you now because of the plastic currency and digital economy. Mr. Narendra Modi's Swachh Bharat, which he introduced in the first 3 months of his tenure, is helping us, because the virus, Corona, did not spread because of Swachh Bharat. So my intervention is much longer, but at the same time, I would like to conclude saying Mr. Narendra Modi handled the Corona well, economy-wise, political party approach-wise.
Right, sir. I will, thanks for that, this thing, as in, I will go to Srikanth with a specific set of questions. See, there is a general dire prediction about the economy, and it is shrinking, and government's tax revenues going down, etc. So there is I think, reasonably broad consensus that government should relax its fiscal deficit norms. Don't worry too much about credit rating getting downgraded, and handle the inflation pressures as and when it comes through. As in today, when the house is on fire, you cannot think of anything else, as in you need to get things out of. But at the same time, I have a few contraindications which kind of paint a picture that things are not as bad as the pink press would want you to believe. Say, for example, June GST collections were like 91,000 crores. Okay, so it's about 9% or 10% down than the same period last year, June 2020 versus June 2019. Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas says that the petroleum consumption have reached near normal levels. I think 6% reduction or something like that. The overall power consumption in the country again is down hardly some 6-7%. And you would have seen Britannia's first quarter results, fantastic growth over same period last year. That could be a specific food related, but overall the equity market sentiment, Sensex being where it is, etc., doesn't indicate such a dire prediction that you and I would normally fear in a pandemic of this magnitude with such intense lockdown, etc. So how do you reconcile these two?
See, let us see the ground reality. As a practicing chartered accountant, I have the opportunity of seeing how my own clients are performing in diverse industries. And therefore, I think that can be a better benchmark than to rely on newspaper reports, etc. I can tell you for sure that the operations in most of the companies have come to more or less a standstill by March, April, and they are just limping back to normalcy now, thanks to the lifting of the lockdown in a very small way. Yeah. So I don't see that. I mean, what the Pink press is reporting, Pink papers are reporting in terms of the dire situation of the economy is totally wrong. There is definitely truth in it. Yeah. And coming to your mentioning about the GST in June being 91,000 crores, I'm not sure about the number, but let me also tell you that there was a deferment of the GST payment dues.
That's right. Part of it could be of April, May deferment. Yeah.
Yeah. So one would not know whether this constitutes 3 months dues or 2 months dues or only for the month of June. So it's difficult to. So I don't think for June it could be 91,000 crores because the normal GST is the region of 110,000 crores. If 110,000 crores is collected, the government is fairly happy going by historical trends. Right. But if in June, if they collected 91,000 crores, that is 90%. No, it's too good to be true. So I think there is something we have to look into the numbers.
That number is authenticated, and Nirmala Sitharaman ji made a press or tweet, and there's a press statement as well on that. But like I said, as in it could be an accumulation, even if it's not a deferment, as in many of them were not opened for offices in April and May, so they would have paid their dues in June. It is a cash-based accrual, not accrual based. It is cash-based accounting. So to that extent, it could be.
So I don't think we should take that into consideration.
But the other indicators that I gave are all as in from the respective ministries, as in power consumption or petroleum consumption or.
But it defeats logic, Mr. Muthuraman, when industries are not operating.
That's exactly why I'm looking for expert comments from you.
And in one particular sector with which I'm closely associated, the leather and the footwear sector, there are many people who want to give up that minimum demand. I mean, that particular number of units, they want to give it up because they are not using it, that they are unnecessarily paying fixed charges. So it defeats logic. It cannot be true. I think there's something wrong with the numbers.
So the counter that I get typically is that the COVID is largely an urban phenomenon. It is your Bangalore, Chennai, Bombay, and Delhi are affected. 450 out of 650 districts life is going on as usual. Okay, there is no intense lockdown and this thing. So yeah, the bulk of the economic activity may still be residing from these principal cities, but in terms of so that is one counter that I get, saying that the agricultural economy is doing reasonably okay, the monsoons are normal, and so that part is taken care.
But agriculture, Mr. Muthuraman, as a percentage of the GDP is virtually nothing. So if it does well also, it's not going to make a major impact on the economy as such.
Okay. Okay. And sir, just Mr. Rajagopal wanted to check with you your specific views on say the upcoming elections. What is your thoughts? As in, is it going to have a serious impact?
Bihar is very good for Nitish Kumar, BJP. Okay. West Bengal, I have a feeling that Mamata Banerjee will be in a very bad position, precarious position. BJP has done well in 2019 and the groundswell is for BJP. And what I see for Tamil Nadu is a very Milli-Juli Sarkar, that is kind of a coalition. Okay. I don't see a way for DMK because DMK, according to the internal calculations and predictions, despite engaging Prashant Kishore Pandey, whatever that psephologies or economies, whatever that. DMK is worried because of this Kanda Sashti plus very important from Tamil Nadu political point of view. Edappadi Palaniswamy could not be destabilized for four years by DMK.
Yeah.
DMK has been ineffective because from seeing Delhi angle of Tamil Nadu, from seeing Tamil Nadu from Delhi, I get a feeling because I interact with lots of members of parliament from Tamil Nadu, MLAs like that. I get a feeling it is going to be a coalition government and DMK will end up with some 65 to 70, maximum 75. And Rajinikanth and Kamal Hassan's entry is going to spoil the DMK chances. So the Jayalalitha Karunanidhi absence cannot be, vacuum could not be filled up. But at the same time, if I have to predict West Bengal, BJP, Nitish Kumar, Bihar, a coalition type of thing, but minus MK Stalin in Tamil Nadu. That is what I could project for another 6 months. Things may change.
Okay. We should definitely connect again in another episode of Swatantra TV soon on related topics. So thank you very much for both your participation. We'll be
thank you, Muthuraman. Thank you, Srikanth.
Thank
See you.
Just a word, please, for the readers to subscribe to Swatantra TV channel on YouTube. We are conducting political economic events every Saturday, Sunday, and plan to extend it to every day of the week. Look forward to seeing you soon in another program. Thank you very much. In the next video on the same topic, we will be adding a few more panelists and also address the specific aspects of what the government has done and what are the aspects that remains to be done to address the economic impact of COVID-19 on large corporates, MSMEs, middle class, as well as migrant labor. Thanks for joining.